My daughter-in-law left her tablet at my apartment. When it lit up, I saw my husband's picture on the screen. But my husband passed away 7 years ago. Don't forget to subscribe to Auntie's Stories and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. The summer sun was shining through my kitchen window in Florida. I was making cookies for my grandson's birthday party. 70 years old, I still loved baking. My husband Robert had been gone for 7 years now. But I kept his recipes. I kept baking his favorite things. It helped me remember the good times. The tablet made a sound. It was lying on my kitchen counter. My daughter-in-law Monica had come over this morning to drop off party decorations. She must have forgotten her tablet when she left in a hurry. The screen lit up bright. I walked over to turn it off. Then I stopped moving. I couldn't breathe. Robert's face was looking at me from the screen. My Robert. But he was wearing a green shirt I had never bought him. He looked younger. His smile was bigger than I remembered from his last years with me. A new message appeared under his picture. The message said, "Tonight is our special night. I bought your favorite flowers. I've been counting the hours until I see you." My hands started shaking. I sat down on the floor right there in the kitchen. The tablet was still in my hands. Tonight. Special night. Counting the hours. Someone was sending messages to Monica right now. This very minute. Someone who had saved Robert's picture on their device. Someone who was planning to meet my daughter-in-law tonight. My mind was spinning like a wheel. Maybe someone was playing a mean joke. Maybe it was a computer mistake. But who would use Robert's picture? And why would they send love messages to Monica? I looked at the screen again. The tablet wasn't locked with a password. Monica always forgot to lock her devices. I had seen her type her code many times when we had coffee together. It was her son's birthday. My grandson Tommy's special day. 6 numbers. 081523. August 15th, 23rd. Tablet opened easily. My fingers were cold as I looked for the messages. The contact name just said R. 1 letter. Nothing else. But I could see messages going back many months. I scrolled up slowly. My heart was beating so loud I thought the neighbors might hear it. The messages made me feel sick to my stomach. Last weekend was wonderful. You look so pretty in that blue dress. I love the watch you gave me. I'll wear it every day. Your son thinks I'm working late. We're being so careful. Your son. That was my son Marcus. Monica's husband of 15 years. The father of my grandson Tommy. The boy who helped Robert fix our car every Saturday morning. I felt like someone had pushed me underwater. I couldn't catch my breath. My hands felt hot and cold at the same time. The tablet felt heavy like it was made of rocks. And it was. I kept reading even though I wanted to throw the tablet out the window. The older messages were different. They talked about where to meet and when. Coffee shop on Main Street tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Park behind the library like we always do. The walking trail by the river is private. Nobody from our neighborhood goes there. Be careful leaving your house. Make sure Helen doesn't notice anything strange. Helen. That's my name. They had been meeting in my own town. Using places I knew. Making secret plans while acting normal to my face. I scrolled back further. My stomach hurt more with each word I read. Then I found something that made time stop. A message from 4 years ago. It said, "I found more of his clothes in the storage room. Should I give them away or keep them?" Monica's answer came next. It was sent right after Robert's funeral. "Keep his brown coat. I love how it smells. It reminds me of our afternoons together when Helen thought he was playing cards with friends. My husband's coat. Our afternoons together. When I thought he was playing cards." The tablet fell from my hands onto the kitchen floor. This couldn't be real. This was impossible. This was evil. Robert and Monica. My husband and my daughter-in-law. They had been seeing each other behind my back. Behind Marcus's back. I picked up the tablet again. My fingers moved like they belonged to someone else's body. I needed to know more. I needed to understand everything. There were photos hidden in a locked folder. The folder opened when I guessed the password. Tommy's birthday again. 081523. Robert and Monica together in the pictures. His hand holding hers. Her head on his shoulder. My own living room in the background of one photo. My own home. They had been alone in my apartment while I was out buying groceries or visiting my sister. One picture showed them at the beach. Monica was wearing Robert's old fishing cap. She was laughing at something. The date on the picture said July 2019. That was 8 months before Robert got very sick. 8 months before his kidneys started failing. 8 months before I spent every single day driving him to doctors and making sure he ate healthy food. Had he been thinking about her during those months? When I held his hand at the hospital, was he wishing she was there instead of me? A new message popped up making me jump. Did you leave your tablet somewhere? Marcus just texted asking if I knew where you were. I told him you went to the grocery store. Get your tablet and call him quickly. Or again. The mystery person using Robert's photo. But Robert was dead. He had been dead for 7 years. So who was R? Who was continuing this terrible relationship with Monica? Who had my husband's pictures and his clothes and his secrets? My brain tried to think of answers. Robert's friends from work. His bowling team members. Someone from church. Then something clicked in my head. A message from 3 years ago. From Robert to Monica. Rick keeps asking where I disappear to on Wednesday nights. I think he's following me around town. We need to be much more careful now. Vic. That was Robert's younger brother. My brother-in-law Rick was 52 years old. He was married with 4 children. He lived 1 hour away and visited on Christmas and Thanksgiving. Always friendly. Always helpful with carrying heavy boxes. After Robert died, Rick had been the person who helped me sort through Robert's things. Helped me clean out the garage and the storage unit. He must have found proof of the affair back then. Or maybe he knew the whole time. I sat very still trying to think clearly through the fear. The clock on my wall said 11:30. Monica had left my apartment at 10:15. She would notice soon that her tablet was missing. She would come back to get it. I had maybe 20 minutes to decide what to do. Confront her right now with only shock and anger in my heart. Or stay quiet and learn more and figure out the complete truth before showing what I knew. The doorbell rang. The sound made me jump off the floor. I looked at the tablet in my lap and then at my front door. Another message appeared on the screen. I love you so much. Can't wait for tonight. I'm bringing chocolates and wine. Tonight. Just hours from now. More lies. More betrayal. More secrets in my family. I made my choice. Just 1 minute, I called out. My voice sounded normal somehow. I slipped Monica's tablet into my apron pocket. I grabbed a dish towel. Then I went to open the door. Hi Helen, Monica said with a big bright smile. I think I left my tablet at your place. She stood in my doorway looking perfect like always. Dark hair in a ponytail. Fancy exercise clothes. A smile that didn't touch her eyes. Now that I knew the truth, I could see it clearly. The fake kindness. The lies behind every word she said. Your tablet, I said, pretending to think hard. I haven't seen it, sweetie. But come inside and we can look together. She walked past me into my apartment. Her perfume filled my hallway. The same perfume I had smelled on Robert's jackets during his last year alive. I had thought it was from the ladies at his office. Now I knew the truth. Let's check the living room, I said in a sweet voice. I'm sure we'll find it somewhere. But the tablet stayed hidden in my pocket. Warm against my side. Full of secrets that would destroy my family. And I was going to discover every single one. Monica searched my living room like she was hunting for buried treasure. She moved pillows around. She checked under the sofa. She even looked behind my bookshelf. I watched her carefully. My hand resting in my pocket, touching her tablet. This is so strange, she said. She stood up and pushed hair from her face. I always put it on your coffee table when I visit. Always in the exact same spot. Maybe you left it in your car, I said. I kept my voice helpful and kind. The sweet mother-in-law. Nothing suspicious at all. Maybe, she said. But she looked worried now. Her eyes moved around my room one more time. For just 1 second she looked at my pocket. She suspects something, I thought. Or maybe she knows already. Well, I should go now, Monica said finally. Her smile was tight and fake. Marcus wants me home before lunch. We're taking Tommy to his swimming lesson. Give Tommy a big hug from Grandma, I said. I walked her to the door. And if I find your tablet, I'll call you right away. Thanks, Helen, she said. Then she left quickly. I stood at my window. I watched her car drive away down my street. Only when she was completely gone did I pull out the tablet. My hands were shaking again as I sat down to keep reading. The message history went back 7 years. 7 whole years of lies and secret meetings, and my husband and daughter-in-law doing terrible things behind our backs. The early messages were careful, almost like work emails between strangers. Then they changed. They became romantic and full of feelings. Robert had written things to Monica that he hadn't said to me in years. You make me feel alive again. Helen looks at me like I'm already sick and dying. That message hurt more than all the others. Had I done that? Had I stopped seeing him as a man and only saw him as a patient? But that didn't make this right. Nothing could make this right. I found mentions of a lake house. A place Robert supposedly inherited from his cousin. But he told me he sold that lake house many years ago. More lies on top of lies. One message had a map location attached to it. Robert and Monica didn't know the tablet saved these locations automatically. I wrote down the address on a piece of paper. Lake area about 1 hour from my apartment. Close enough for afternoon visits. Far enough that nobody would recognize them. But I still didn't know for sure who I was. The person who took over after Robert died. My own phone rang. The sound made me drop Monica's tablet. Marcus's name showed on my screen. Hi honey, I answered. I forced myself to sound normal and calm. Mom, have you seen Monica? She's not answering her phone. Because her tablet is in my pocket, I thought. I thought she was with you this morning. She left hours ago. Marcus sounded stressed and worried. Maybe her battery died. Maybe, he said. But his voice was tight. Mom, I need to talk to you about something important. Can I come visit tonight? My heart started beating faster. Of course, sweetie. Is everything okay? Long silence. Then he said, We'll talk later. I love you, Mom. He hung up. I stared at my phone. Then at Monica's tablet. Did Marcus know something? Suspect something? I needed more information quickly. But investigating my own family was dangerous, like walking on ice. One wrong step and they would hide everything. They would make me look crazy. Like I was a confused old woman imagining things. I had heard about Sally Martinez from church. Her son's wife had been stealing money from her for 3 years. When Sally finally told people, the family said she was confused and seeing things that weren't real. They put her in a nursing home. She died there 6 months later. Still saying she had been robbed. I had to be smart about this. I spent the afternoon making a careful plan. First, I needed to save all the evidence. I connected Monica's tablet to my computer. Something my grandson Tommy had taught me last summer when he was helping me organize photos. Copied everything. Photos and messages and all of it. I saved it all on a small memory stick. Then I hid the stick inside a hollow book on my shelf. One of Robert's old books about fishing that nobody would ever open. Then I focused on figuring out who I really was. I read the messages again looking for clues. I was a man. That was clear from his words. He knew about Robert and Monica's affair. He knew private details about their relationship. The messages started just 4 months after Robert's funeral. Like someone had been waiting for him to die. I can give you things he couldn't. I'm stronger and healthier and I won't leave you like he did. The cruelty of those words made me feel sick. But they also told me something important. I had known Robert was sick. He knew about Robert's kidney problems and diabetes. I made a list of possible people. Robert's friends. His brother Rick. Someone from his job. Then I found the proof I needed. A message from 5 years ago. From Robert to Monica. Rick saw us at the restaurant on Tuesday. He cornered me this morning asking questions about where I've been going. We have to be much more careful from now on. Vic. It was Robert's brother. My brother-in-law. I leaned back in my chair feeling dizzy and sick. Rick was married to Linda. They had 4 children together. He seemed so normal and family-oriented. After Robert died, Rick had helped me with everything. The funeral arrangements, the paperwork with the bank, sorting through Robert's belongings and clothes. He must have found evidence of the affair then, or he had known about it the whole time. My front door opened suddenly. I barely had time to hide Monica's tablet under a couch cushion before my son Marcus walked in. He had a key to my apartment. He was the only person I trusted with one. "Marcus," I said, standing up fast. "What's wrong, honey?" He looked terrible and tired. His hair was messy like he had been pulling on it. His shirt was wrinkled like he had slept in it. He had dark shadows under his eyes like he hadn't slept in days. "Mom," he said. He sat down heavily in Robert's old armchair. "I think Monica is cheating on me." The irony almost made me laugh out loud. Almost. But I kept my face calm and neutral. "What makes you think that?" I asked quietly. "She's been distant for so long. Maybe for years now. She disappears every Wednesday afternoon. Says she's going to yoga class or meeting her college friends. But I checked our bank statements. No payments to any yoga studio. No restaurant bills on Wednesdays anywhere." He looked up at me. His eyes were red and tired. "Mom, am I going crazy? Am I imagining all of this?" "No," I said softly. "You're not crazy at all." He stared at me hard. "You know something, don't you?" "I found her tablet," I admitted. I pulled it out from under the cushion. "She left it here this morning. I shouldn't have looked at it. But I did." I watched emotions cross his face like clouds. Hope that I was wrong. Fear that I was right. Horror at what he was about to learn. I wanted to protect my son. My boy. My only child. But he deserved to know the truth. "It's bad, isn't it?" he whispered. I handed him the tablet. "The password is Tommy's birthday." While he read through the messages, I went to my kitchen. I made tea that neither of us would drink. I heard him gasp out loud. I heard him say bad words. I heard a sound that might have been crying. When I came back to the living room, his face was white as paper. His hands were shaking badly. "Dad," he said. His voice was broken and small. "She was with Dad. My father and my wife." "How long?" He couldn't finish the question. 7 years that I can see in the messages. Maybe even longer than that. "And after he died." His voice cracked like breaking glass. "Who is R?" "I think it's your Uncle Rick," I said carefully. "Your father's brother." Marcus's face twisted with anger and rage. "That piece of garbage. I'll kill him. I'll kill both of them right now." "No," I said sharply and firmly. "You won't do anything stupid or violent." "Stupid?" Marcus almost shouted. "Mom, they destroyed our whole family. Dad betrayed you and me. Monica has been lying to my face for years. And Rick." He stood up and started pacing around my living room. "What am I supposed to do? Just accept it and move on?" "No," I said calmly. "But if you rush into this without thinking, Monica gets half of everything in the divorce. She might get custody of Tommy if she makes you look unstable and violent. Rick will deny everything. There's no solid proof it's really him. Just a guess based on one letter." I leaned forward in my chair. "You'll lose your son and your money and your dignity. While they walk away free and happy." He stopped pacing around. "So what do you think we should do?" "We investigate more," I said. "We gather evidence that nobody can question or deny. We find out what they want and why they're doing this to us." I looked at my son. "And then we destroy them. Carefully and quietly. In a way they never see coming until it's too late. Marcus looked at me like he was seeing me for the very first time. I didn't know you could be like this, Mom. Neither did I admitted honestly. But they hurt my son. They hurt me. They hurt our whole family. I won't let them get away with it. A loud knock at my door interrupted us. We both froze in place. Mrs. Henderson, a woman's voice called. I didn't recognize it. I'm Detective Maria Santos with the Florida Police Department. I need to talk to you about your husband's death 7 years ago. Marcus and I looked at each other with wide eyes. Please. Why now? Just a moment, please, I called out. My mind was racing fast. I grabbed Monica's tablet and shoved it into Marcus's hands. Hide this somewhere safe. Don't let anyone see it or know about it. He nodded and disappeared down my hallway toward the bedrooms. I smoothed my dress. I checked my reflection in the hall mirror. Then I opened the door with a polite smile on my face. A woman in her 30s stood on my doorstep. She had a police badge in her hand. Her face was serious. I'm sorry to bother you, Mrs. Henderson. I'm reopening the investigation into your husband's death. We've received some new information that needs to be looked into carefully. Information. Kept my voice steady and calm. My husband died of kidney failure 7 years ago. What kind of new information? We have reason to believe his death might not have been from natural causes, she said carefully. She pulled out a small notebook. Can you tell me who had access to your husband's medications in the weeks before he died? The room started spinning around me. Murder. She was saying Robert might have been murdered by someone. And suddenly everything took on a darker meaning. The affair. The betrayal. The secret messages. All of it. I think, I said slowly, that I should call a lawyer before answering questions. Detective Santos smiled. But it wasn't a friendly smile at all. That's your right, Mrs. Henderson. But I should tell you something important. The person who filed the complaint named you as the main suspect. Detective Santos sat in my living room. Her notebook was open on her lap. Her eyes looked at everything in my home. Marcus had come back from hiding Monica's tablet. His face was calm. But I could see worry in his eyes. He was playing the concerned son perfectly. I had raised him well. Maybe too well, considering what we had just learned about the lies and secrets in our family. Mrs. Henderson, I need to ask about the days before your husband died, Santos said. Specifically about his medications and who had access to them. Robert had 5 different prescriptions, I said. Kept my voice calm and steady. Blood pressure medicine, diabetes pills, kidney medication, and 2 others from Dr. Williams. Is something wrong with that? Dr. Williams moved to Arizona 4 years ago, Santos said. She flipped through her notebook. We haven't located his old patient records yet. Who had access to those medications besides you and your husband? Just me and Robert. They were in our bathroom cabinet. Nobody else. Did you give them to him every day? No. Robert took his own pills. He was perfectly capable of doing it himself. I stopped talking. I remembered something. Wait, that's not completely true actually. The last few months before he died, Monica would help him sometimes. She used to work as a pharmacy assistant. She wanted to make sure he took the right pills at the right times. Your daughter-in-law had access to his medications, Santos said. Her pen moved across the page quickly. She visited often. She was trying to help us, I said. Even as I said the words, I felt the pieces moving in my head, forming a darker picture than before. Mom, Marcus said. His voice was tight. Are you saying Monica might have? I'm not saying anything, Santos interrupted him. I'm just gathering facts right now. He turned to Marcus. When did your wife start helping with your father's medications? I don't know exactly. Maybe 10 months before he died. Marcus looked at me. I could see understanding in his eyes now. She said she wanted to help. That Mom was getting tired and sometimes forgot to remind Dad to take his pills. I never forgot, I said firmly. Not once in 40 years of marriage. But Monica had convinced Robert that I was getting forgetful and confused, that I needed her help. I had been grateful at the time, relieved to have someone help as Robert got sicker and sicker. Now I wondered what else she had convinced him was true. "Detective, who filed this complaint?" Marcus asked directly. "Who said my mother killed my father?" Santos hesitated. Then she closed her notebook. The complaint was anonymous, but it had very specific details. Information about medication changes, about fights between your parents, about money reasons for murder. "What money reasons?" Marcus demanded. "My parents were comfortable but not wealthy at all. According to the complaint, your father had a life insurance policy worth $900,000, with your mother as the only person who would receive the money." The room went completely silent. I felt Marcus staring at me with shock. "I didn't know about any life insurance," I said slowly. "Robert handled all our money and finances. After he died, I found the normal bank accounts and the house deed and his small retirement account. But no life insurance policy at all." "You didn't receive a payout?" Santos asked. Her expression changed slightly. "No, nothing like that." "That's very interesting," Santos said. She made a note. "According to the complaint, the policy was purchased 5 months before your husband died. The payment came from your joint checking account 5 months before Robert died. Right when the messages between him and Monica had become more desperate and passionate. Right when he had written, 'I can't keep living this double life anymore. Something has to change soon. I want to see our bank statements,' I said firmly. "From that time period. Can you help me get them? We're already requesting financial records as part of the investigation," Santos confirmed. "But if you have access to your accounts." "She does," Marcus said quickly. He pulled out his phone. "Mom, you still use the same bank, right? I can help you look at old statements online right now." We worked together while Santos watched us carefully. We pulled up records from 7 years ago on my laptop. There it was. A payment of $2,400 to Sunshine Life Insurance. The payment was dated 5 months before Robert's death. It was labeled as medical equipment in our record-keeping system. Something that wouldn't have looked strange when Robert was seeing doctors constantly. "I never approved this payment," I said. My voice was shaking now. "I never even saw this charge on our statements. Who had access to your bank accounts besides you and your husband?" Santos asked. "Monica," Marcus said quietly. His voice was hard. "After Dad's kidney failure got bad, she offered to help manage their bills and finances. Mom was overwhelmed with doctor appointments and everything else. Monica said it would be one less thing to worry about." Santos's pen moved faster across her notebook. "So your wife had access to your parents' money, access to your father's medications. And according to the complaint, she was there the day your father died." "We all were," Marcus said. He sounded defensive. "It was Sunday lunch at their house. Dad collapsed at the kitchen table. The ambulance came within 10 minutes. The paramedics said it was kidney failure and his heart stopping. There was nothing suspicious about it at all. But there was something suspicious. I remembered that lunch now with new eyes and new understanding. Monica had cooked Robert's favorite meal. Pot roast with carrots and potatoes and gravy. She had been so attentive to him, making sure he ate everything on his plate, refilling his water glass constantly, giving him his afternoon pills early because lunch was running late. And I remembered something else now. Something I had pushed aside at the time as grief making me confused. "His pills," I said slowly. That day at lunch, Robert said his pills looked different. Smaller and a different color than usual. Monica told him the pharmacy had changed manufacturers. That it was the same medicine, just from a different company making it. Santos leaned forward in her chair. "Did you verify that with the pharmacy?" "No," I admitted. I trusted her completely. She had worked in a pharmacy. Why would I question her knowledge? "Mom," Marcus's voice cracked. Are you saying Monica killed Dad by changing his pills? I'm saying we need to find out what was in those pills he took that day, I said. I looked at Santos. Is it too late for an autopsy after 7 years? Testing would be very difficult after this much time, Santos said. But not completely impossible if we exhume the body and look for certain poisons. She stood up from her chair. Mrs. Henderson, I need you to understand something clearly. Right now, you're still a person of interest in this investigation. The complaint names you specifically as the killer. It includes details that suggest someone on the inside with knowledge. If someone is framing you for murder, we need to figure out who and why quickly. After she left my apartment, Marcus and I sat in heavy silence. Outside the window, the summer sun was setting. Everything looked peaceful and calm. But nothing felt peaceful about what we had discovered today. We need to talk to Monica, Marcus finally said. Confront her with all of this right now. No, I said firmly. If Monica filed that complaint against me, if she's setting me up for murder, then confronting her will just make her more careful. She'll destroy evidence. She'll create alibis. Maybe she'll even disappear with Tommy. Then what do? We follow her tomorrow, I said. Wednesday afternoon. The message said she was meeting R at the lake house. We need to know what they're planning together. Marcus looked uncertain and worried. Mom, if they're dangerous, then we stay hidden and safe, I interrupted. We watch from a distance. We record their conversation on our phones. We take pictures as proof. We gather evidence that proves what they did to Robert. I grabbed my purse from the table. Your father's death might not have been from kidney failure. That life insurance money went somewhere. Someone is trying to make me look guilty of murder. I need to know why this is happening. We took Marcus's car the next afternoon. We left my car at my apartment in case Monica drove by to check if I was home. The address from the tablet led us north on Highway 95. Then onto smaller roads that wound through thick forests and swamps. My phone guided us to a dirt road marked only by a faded wooden sign that said private property. The lake house sat at the end of that road, hidden from the highway by tall trees. A small yellow building with a tin roof and a porch facing the water. Lights glowed in the windows even though it was still afternoon. That's Monica's car, Marcus whispered. He pointed to the white SUV parked next to a red truck. And that's Uncle Rick's truck right there. We parked further back on the road, hidden by bushes and trees. We walked quietly toward the lake house. The air was hot and humid. Our footsteps were quiet on the sandy path. Through the lake house window, I could see Monica and Rick sitting at a table, wine glasses in their hands, looking relaxed and comfortable and happy together. Marcus had his phone out. He was recording video of them. I stood next to him. My heart was pounding hard. I was watching my brother-in-law and daughter-in-law toast each other like they were celebrating something. Can't believe the old lady fell for it, Rick was saying. His voice carried through the thin walls. The detective is completely convinced. Anonymous tip with specific details and a financial motive. They'll arrest her within the next few days. She's so trusting, Monica laughed. It was a cold sound without any warmth. Always has been her whole life. Even Robert said she was naive and easy to fool. That's why it was so easy to. She stopped talking suddenly. Rick had raised his hand. He was looking toward the window. Had he seen us hiding there? We dropped down fast. We pressed against the lake house's wooden wall. My knees screamed with pain. But I didn't dare move or make a sound. Marcus's hand gripped my arm tight. Both of us were frozen, barely breathing at all. Thought I saw something move out there, Rick said. Probably just a bird or something, Monica replied. You're being paranoid. Nobody knows about this place. Even if Marcus suspected something, he'd never find it. He's too busy being the perfect son to his mother. Just like his father was the perfect husband to Helen. Until he wasn't, Rick said. They both laughed together. The sound made my blood run cold. They hadn't just had an affair together. They had planned something terrible. Something evil. How much longer until the insurance pays out? Rick asked. The policy had a 4-year waiting period for suspicious deaths. That ended 8 months ago. Once they arrest Helen for Robert's murder, the insurance company will have to pay out. No legal basis to deny the claim anymore. Monica swirled her wine around in her glass. Once they arrest Helen, I'll act shocked and devastated. The wrong daughter-in-law who's heartbroken that her mother-in-law could do such an evil thing. The insurance company will pay the claim to Robert's estate. And I control the estate since his will was never properly updated after he died. And I'm listed as co-executor on the paperwork. Rick finished. We split it 50-50 like we planned. Minus Marcus's small portion, unfortunately. But we can work around that problem later. Marcus's grip on my arm was so tight it hurt. Through the window I watched Rick stand up. He walked behind Monica's chair, his hands on her shoulders. You're brilliant, he said, using Robert's paranoia about Helen, making him think she was telling people she wished he would die. That was genius. He was so easy to manipulate and control, Monica said. Especially after I told him Helen was complaining to her sister about him being a burden. He actually believed his own wife hated him. It made everything so much easier to do. I had never said those things. Never even thought them. But Robert had pulled away from me in those final months. Had been angry and distant and cold. I thought it was because he was sick and scared of dying. Now I understood. Monica had been poisoning his mind against me. Making him vulnerable and isolated. Turning him against me. And the pills? Rick asked. Easy to get when you know the right people, Monica said. Digoxin mixed with his regular kidney medication for 4 weeks before the final lunch. It built up in his system slowly over time. Then that Sunday, a final large dose in his food. Enough to trigger complete kidney failure and cardiac arrest together. The autopsy showed natural causes from kidney disease. Exactly what everyone expected for someone with his medical condition. Nobody even thought to look for poison. Until now, Rick said. If that detective gets smart and orders the body exhumed. She won't, Monica interrupted him. She has her suspect already. Her motive. Her timeline. Helen Henderson. The bitter wife who found out about her husband's affair and decided to cash in on his life insurance money. Perfect story that makes sense. Rick pulled Monica to her feet. He wrapped his arms around her. 7 more months and we'll be rich. 10 months and we'll be together openly. And Helen will spend the rest of her life in prison for a murder we committed together. They kissed. Marcus turned away. His face was twisted with pain and rage and disgust. He had heard enough. We both had. We crept back to the car in silence. Once inside, Marcus started the engine. His hands were shaking badly. They killed him, he whispered. Monica murdered my father. And Rick helped her do it. And they're framing you, I said quietly. My voice was hard and cold. They told us everything. We have it all recorded on your phone. We have evidence now. We take this to the police, Marcus said. He was pulling onto the road fast. We show them the recording. Show them Monica's tablet. Tell them everything we know. No, I said firmly. Not yet. He stared at me. Mom, they murdered Dad. They're trying to send you to prison for life. We have to tell the police now. Marcus, think carefully, I interrupted. That recording was made without them knowing. Florida is a 2-party consent state for recordings. A lawyer could get it thrown out of court as illegal evidence. And the tablet. I shouldn't have kept it. That could be called theft and invasion of privacy. So what do we do then? We make them confess, I said. Properly and legally. In a way that can't be dismissed or explained away by lawyers. I turned to Marcus. And we do it in front of witnesses who can't be bought off or scared into silence. How? Your father's estate, I said. The plan was forming in my mind as I spoke. It was never properly settled because of the missing life insurance policy. We need to have a formal reading of the will. Bring everyone together in one room. You and Monica and Rick and the lawyer. Maybe even Detective Santos. And then what happens? Then we spring the trap on them, I said. But first we need to find that insurance money. Because wherever it went, that's where we'll find the final piece of evidence we need to destroy them both. David drove faster down the dark road. The headlights cut through the darkness ahead. Behind us the lake house lights grew smaller and smaller. But I knew we'd be going back there soon. The war had just started. And I was going to win. We spent that night in Marcus's home office. We were surrounded by 7 years of financial records from my apartment. Bank statements and credit card bills and insurance papers. Everything Robert had left behind when he died. Monica was supposedly at her mother's house overnight. That's what she had texted Marcus. More likely she was at the lake house with Rick, celebrating their victory that hadn't happened yet. Here, Marcus said. He was pointing at his computer screen. It was 3 in the morning. Mom, look at this. The life insurance policy application. Buried in a folder of scanned documents on an old memory card. Robert's signature at the bottom of the form. But something looked wrong to my eyes. The letters were too neat, too perfect, too careful. Robert's handwriting had been messy and rushed. Quick scribbles from a man who had spent 35 years running a hardware store and filling out order forms fast. That's not his real signature, I said with certainty. Monica forged it. Can we prove that? Maybe if we find samples of Robert's actual signature. Have a handwriting expert compare them. I rubbed my tired eyes. But that takes time. We don't have much time left. Once that detective finishes her investigation, she'll arrest me. Then everything becomes harder to prove. Finding evidence from jail. Legal battles that take years. Years of fighting. Marcus leaned back in his chair. He looked at me strangely. You've changed, Mom. You're different than you were 2 days ago. I'm fighting for my life, I said simply. And for justice for your father. Whatever else Robert did wrong. He didn't deserve to die like that. Poisoned slowly over weeks. Manipulated and betrayed by people he trusted. Do you forgive him for the affair? The question surprised me. Did I forgive Robert? He had been weak and foolish. Easy prey for a younger woman's attention and flattery. But Monica had been calculated and predatory. She had gotten close to our family through Marcus. Then she had seduced a lonely aging man who felt invisible to his wife. I don't know yet, I admitted honestly. But that's a question for later. Right now we focus on surviving this nightmare. My phone buzzed on the desk. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Stop investigating or your grandson pays the price. Ice flooded through my whole body. Marcus, where's Tommy right now? At Monica's mom's house. Monica took him there yesterday morning. Why? He saw my face. He saw the phone screen. The color drained from his face. He immediately called his former mother-in-law. The conversation was short and frantic. He's fine, Marcus said. Relief was clear in his voice. Still asleep in bed. I told her not to let Tommy out of her sight. Not to let Monica pick him up without calling me first to confirm. Another text appeared on my screen. We know what you found at the lake house. Destroy the recording and forget everything. Or the boy has an accident. You have 24 hours to decide. They had seen us at the lake house. Or they had guessed we were there. Either way, we had underestimated how desperate they were. How dangerous they could be. That's it, Marcus said. His voice was shaking with rage. I'm calling the police right now. We tell them everything. Let them protect Tommy while they investigate. And they take Tommy while the police investigate. I interrupted. Marcus, think clearly. They're cornered now. Desperate and dangerous. If we move too fast and scare them, what happens to Tommy? Then what's your plan? He demanded. Because right now my son is being threatened by a murderer. A murderer who happens to be his mother. The words hung in the air between us. Heavy and terrible. Jessica was Tommy's mother. Whatever monster she had become, she had given birth to my grandson. She had raised him for 11 years of his life. The courts would remember that fact. So would Tommy. We need leverage, I said slowly. Something so damning they can't threaten us anymore. Can't run away. Can't do anything except confess to everything. Like what? Like the insurance money, I said. Rick said he's the co-executor of Robert's estate. That the money would go through him. But the policy lists me as the person who receives the money. So where did it actually go? Marcus pulled up the insurance company's website on his laptop. He logged into the account using information from the scanned application. Took 6 tries to guess the password. Monica had used Tommy's name and birthday together. Tommy 081523. The policy was active and current. The premium was being paid automatically from our joint bank account. A withdrawal I had never noticed among all the dozens of medical bills during Robert's final year. But the person listed to receive the money had been changed. It was changed 4 months after Robert's death. Not to me. To a trust. The Robert Henderson Memorial Trust. Managed by Robert Henderson Jr. as trustee with full control. That's Rick, Marcus said. He could barely breathe. Dad's brother. He set up a trust in Dad's name. Probably told the insurance company he was handling the estate for the family. Can we see the trust documents? Not without a court order, Marcus said. But his fingers were flying across the keyboard. Wait, Mom. Rick filed the trust paperwork with the county clerk's office. It's public record. I can pull it up right now. The document appeared on the screen. The trust was established for the benefit of Robert Henderson's heirs, with Robert Henderson Jr. as sole trustee with complete authority over all funds. In simple terms, Rick controlled all the money. He could do whatever he wanted with it. This is fraud, I said. The insurance company thinks the money went to Robert's estate, but Rick diverted it to a trust he controls completely. A trust that probably has no other money except that insurance payment, Marcus added. He kept scrolling down the page. Look at the payment schedule here. Rick is allowed to take trustee fees up to 40% of the trust money. Monica is listed as a special financial advisor entitled to 50% of remaining funds. That leaves 10% for Robert's actual family, I said quietly. You and me and Tommy. They were going to give us just enough to avoid raising questions, Marcus said. His jaw was tight with anger. Keep the rest for themselves and their plans. I'm calling Rick right now. No, I said. Let them think we're scared. Let them think the threat about Tommy worked. An idea was forming in my mind. Dangerous but necessary. What if we could get them to move the money? Force them to do something that proves their guilt beyond any doubt. How? By making them panic, I said. By threatening what they care about most. Each other. I spent the next hour writing a careful message. Not from my phone or Marcus's phone. We drove to an all-night diner. We used their public internet to create a fake email account. Then I sent the message to Rick's personal email address. I know about the digoxin poison. I know about the lake house. I know about the insurance fraud. You have 24 hours to transfer $300,000 to the account below. Or I go to the police with evidence that Monica murdered Robert. She goes to prison for life. You go free. Make your choice. A concerned friend. I included a cryptocurrency account number that Marcus had set up quickly. Impossible to trace back to us. You're blackmailing him? Marcus asked. He looked shocked. I'm making him choose between money and Monica, I said. If he pays the money, we have proof he knows about the murder. If he doesn't pay but panics, he'll contact Monica. Maybe do something stupid that we can catch. Either way they make a mistake we can use. And if he calls the police on us? He won't, I said. Because going to the police means admitting he knows about a murder. That he's been hiding it. That he committed insurance fraud. He has too much to lose. I looked at my son across the diner table. We're forcing them into the open where we can see them. The response came 1 hour and 20 minutes later. Not to the fake email. To my personal phone. Rick's voice on a call. Helen, we need to talk. Just you and me. Tomorrow at noon. The lake house. Come alone or Marcus's son disappears forever. I met Marcus's eyes across the diner table. The trap was working. But it was also closing around us too. I'll be there, I told Rick. My voice was steady and calm. Good, Rick said. And Helen, don't be stupid about this. You're an old woman. You can't win this fight against us. He hung up. Marcus was already shaking his head no. Absolutely not. You're not going there alone. They've killed once already. Which is exactly why you're not coming with me, I interrupted. If something happens to me, you're Tommy's only protection. You need to stay with him and keep him safe. Mom. Marcus, listen to me, I said firmly. I'm going to wear a wire. A recording device. The legal kind with two-party consent. I'll tell Rick I'm recording right at the start. Everything he says will be allowed in court as evidence. And if he kills you after you tell him you're recording? He won't, I said. Because I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. I pulled out a document I had written earlier that morning. A handwritten confession. Signed and dated by me. I'm going to confess to Robert's murder, I said. Tell them I did it. That I knew about the affair. That I poisoned Robert in a jealous rage. I'll say I'm willing to take the blame and go to prison quietly without fighting. Why would you do that? Because it gives Rick what he wants most. Me in prison. Out of the way. Out of the picture. But in exchange I want two things. The insurance money returned to Robert's estate where it belongs. And Monica out of your life forever. Quiet divorce. No custody fight over Tommy. Marcus stared at me. That's insane. You'd confess to murder. A false confession isn't a crime, I said. And once Rick agrees to my terms, once he admits on tape that there was a murder, that Monica poisoned Robert, that they committed insurance fraud together, then I have everything I need. I gripped his hand tight. I take back my confession. I reveal the recording. And we have them both. It's too dangerous. It's the only way, I said. Trust me. I've been underestimated my whole life. By Robert. By Monica. By Rick. Let them keep thinking I'm just a weak old woman until it's too late. The next morning I visited Detective Santos at the police station. I told her I had received threats about Tommy. I showed her the text messages. She was immediately concerned and worried. She wanted to assign police protection. I think I know who sent them, I said carefully. I'm meeting them today at noon to talk. I wanted you to know in case something bad happens to me. Mrs. Henderson, if you're in danger I should come with you. I'll be recording the entire conversation. Two-party consent. Fully legal. If I'm right about who's threatening me and my family, the recording will prove everything. Santos looked doubtful. But she nodded. Where's this meeting happening? I gave her the address of the lake house. I watched her write it down in her notebook. If I don't call you by 1 o'clock something's wrong, I said. The recording device will have GPS tracking built in. You'll be able to find me easily. It wasn't completely true. The recording device Marcus had bought that morning didn't have GPS at all. But Santos didn't need to know that detail. I just needed her to come looking if things went bad. At 11:15, Marcus drove me to a spot half a mile from the lake house. He helped me test the recording device. A small unit clipped inside my shirt. The microphone hidden in my collar. Promise me you'll be careful, he said. His eyes were red from no sleep. I promise, I said. I kissed his cheek. Keep Tommy safe. If this goes wrong, if I don't come back, the memory stick in Robert's fishing book has everything. Give it to the police. Tell them the whole story. Mom, I love you. I love you too, Marcus. You've been a wonderful son. I'm so proud of you. I squeezed his hand one last time. Now let me go finish this. I walked the last half mile through the woods. My knees hurt with every step I took. The summer sun was bright and hot. Leaves crunched under my feet. Ahead I could see the lake house. Rick's truck parked outside. As I got closer, the door opened. Rick stood there smiling, looking confident. Behind him I could see Monica sitting at the table. Her expression was cold. "Helen," Rick said warmly, like I had come for a friendly visit. "Come inside. We have a lot to talk about." Climbed the porch steps. My heart was hammering in my chest. My hand touched the recording device hidden under my jacket. "Before we start," I said clearly, "I want you to know I'm recording this conversation for my own protection and safety." Rick's smile didn't change at all. "Of course. We have nothing to hide from you." But as I stepped inside and saw Monica's face, I realized I had made a terrible mistake. On the table in front of her sat a gun. "Actually, Helen," Monica said softly, "you're not recording anything at all. That device you're wearing has been blocked by a jammer. We've been listening to your phone calls, reading your emails and texts. We know everything you and Marcus planned." Rick closed the door behind me. The lock clicked. Sounded like doom. "Sit down," Monica ordered. "We have a new deal for you. And this time you don't get to say no." I stood in the middle of the lake house. My hands were steady even though there was a gun on the table in front of me. 70 years of living had taught me that panic was the enemy of survival. Monica and Rick expected fear and begging. Instead I gave them curiosity and calmness. "How long have you been listening to us?" "Yes." My voice was calm. "Since yesterday afternoon," Rick laughed. He was clearly pleased with himself. "After you left the lake house, I put a tracking device on Marcus's car. I cloned your phone remotely. It's surprisingly easy when you know the right people and have the right equipment. We heard every conversation," Monica added. "Read every email and text. Watched you plan your little trap for us. Then you know I told Detective Santos where I'd be," I said. "She's expecting my call in less than 1 hour." "Actually she's not," Monica said smoothly. "I called her this morning from your phone. I canceled the meeting. I said you weren't feeling well and needed to rest." She was very understanding and kind. Monica stood up from the table. She walked around it slowly. She kept distance between us. "You didn't think this through, Helen. You're smart, I'll give you that. Smarter than Robert ever was in his whole life. But you're old. You're alone. And you're completely outmatched by us." "Sit down," Rick ordered. He was pointing to a chair. I sat down slowly. I was noting the cabin layout as I did. 1 door. 2 windows. Both visible from where Rick and Monica stood. They had positioned themselves carefully and strategically. Rick blocking the exit. Monica with easy access to the gun. "Here's what's going to happen," Monica said. Her voice took on that patient tone she probably used with difficult customers at the pharmacy. "You're going to write a confession. A real one this time. You killed Robert because you found out about his affair with me. You poisoned him with digoxin you got from—" She paused thinking. "From your sister's prescription. She had a heart condition, didn't she? Died 5 years ago from it. My sister Margaret. They had researched everything about my life." "You'll confess to the murder," Monica continued. "Then you'll write a suicide note. Overwhelmed with guilt and shame. Unable to live with what you did. Facing prison time. You drove out here to Robert's lake house. The place where he had been happy. Where he had found real love. And you ended your life here. With what?" "Yes. I don't have any pills with me." Rick pulled a bottle from his jacket pocket. "Sleeping pills. The same ones you take every night for insomnia. We got them from your medicine cabinet 3 days ago when you were at church. More than enough in here to do the job quickly. They had been in my home. They had violated my apartment again. Just like they had violated my marriage and my trust and my whole family. And if I refuse?" "Yes. Though I already knew the answer. Then we shoot you and make it look like suicide anyway," Rick said flatly. "But that's messier. It raises more questions with police. This way is cleaner and easier. You confess. You die. Case closes." Marcus inherits everything. Monica gets half in the divorce settlement. And life goes on for everyone. Except Marcus knows the truth, I pointed out. He heard your confession at this lake house yesterday. He has Monica's tablet, the message history, all the evidence. Had, Monica corrected. Past tense. I remotely erased my old tablet yesterday morning. Every message, every photo, every piece of evidence, gone forever. And that recording you made. Inadmissible in court just like you told Marcus. You did us a huge favor actually. Explaining all the legal problems with secret recordings in Florida. She was right. I had been so focused on gathering evidence legally that I had shown them every mistake to avoid, every loophole to use. Marcus will never stop looking into this, I said. He knows you killed his father. Marcus is emotional and impulsive, Monica said dismissively. He'll grieve for you. He'll suspect me for a while maybe. But without proof, what can he really do? Eventually he'll move on with his life. People always do. And Tommy needs his mother. The courts will agree. The mention of my grandson sent fear through me. But I kept my face neutral and calm. You'd really do this? Yes. Kill your husband's mother. In front of each other. We've done worse, Rick said with a shrug. Robert was harder actually. Took weeks of careful dosing. Monitoring his symptoms closely. This is almost kind by comparison to that. Besides, Monica added. She moved closer to me. You're not really Marcus's mother anymore, are you? Not the woman he knew and loved. That woman died when she found out about Robert's affair. The person sitting here now is bitter and vengeful and unrecognizable to him. Marcus will mourn the mother he remembers fondly. Not the woman you've become. Her words were designed to hurt me. To make me doubt myself and my choices. But I had learned something important these past terrible days. Change wasn't weakness. The naive, trusting Helen was gone forever. In her place sat someone harder and closer and more dangerous than Monica could ever imagine. I needed to stall for time. To think. Detective Santos might not be coming. But Marcus knew where I was. He'd wait for my call. And when it didn't come, what are you thinking about? Monica asked sharply. Marcus. He's busy right now actually, Rick said. We sent him a text from your phone. Saying you needed him to pick up Tommy immediately from his grandmother's house. That there was an emergency at summer camp. He's probably halfway to Orlando by now. She smiled. Your grandson is perfectly safe by the way. No emergency at all. Just Marcus running around panicking while we handle business here. They had thought of everything. Or so they believed. You're wondering if there's a way out, Rick said. He was reading my expression. There isn't. We've planned this for years, Helen. Years. Even before Robert died, we knew you'd be a problem eventually. You're too observant, too stubborn, too smart for your own good. Robert was supposed to change his will. Leave everything to a trust we controlled together. But the old fool kept putting it off. Said he wanted to wait until after the holidays. After Tommy's birthday. After the summer vacation. So you killed him before he could, I said quietly. Understanding was clicking into place in my mind. You killed him before he could change his mind about anything. We sped things up, Monica admitted. Robert was getting sentimental and emotional, talking about making things right with you. About confessing everything to you and Marcus. He was weak. We couldn't risk it. She picked up the gun from the table. She checked it casually. Then she set it back down. The message was clear. They were comfortable with violence. They had done it before. They would do it again. Write the confession, Rick ordered. He pushed paper and pen across the table toward me. We don't have all day for this. I picked up the pen slowly. But instead of writing what they wanted, I looked directly at Monica. Did you ever love Marcus? Even a little bit? The question caught her off guard. What does that matter now? I'm about to die. Humor a dying woman's curiosity. Monica was quiet for a moment. Then she shrugged. Marcus was a means to an end. Access to your family. Robert. To this comfortable life. He was sweet and easy to control. Still is actually. And Robert. Robert was pathetic, she said with disgust in her voice. A vain old man desperate to feel young again. He actually believed I loved him truly. Believed he was special to me. She laughed. The only person I've ever loved is Rick. We've been together since high school. Everything else has been an act and a lie. Even Tommy. The question came out harder than I meant it to. Tommy was necessary, Monica said. A child to cement my place in the family. To give me leverage and control. He's useful for my plans. Hearing her talk about my grandson like a tool made something snap inside me. But I kept my voice level. My hands steady. One more question, I said. The anonymous complaint to the police. That was your backup plan. Insurance, Rick confirmed. If you got too close to the truth, we'd make you look guilty instead. Frame you for Robert's murder before you could figure out what really happened. The complaint has just enough truth to seem real and believable. Your access to his medications. Your money motive. Your opportunity to poison him. Very thorough, I said. Then I looked down at the paper in front of me. I assume you want this confession detailed and believable. Extremely detailed, Monica said. Names and dates and methods. Enough that no one will question it at all. I started to write. My handwriting was steady and clear. But I wasn't writing a confession like they wanted. I, Helen Henderson, being of sound mind, do hereby state the following as true testimony. Behind me neither Monica nor Rick could see the words I was writing. They were too far away. Too confident. On July 28, 2025, I came to the lake house on Lake Isabel, owned by Robert Henderson Jr. I was threatened with death by Robert Henderson Jr. and Monica Henderson, unless I confessed to murdering my husband Robert Henderson Sr. Kept writing. I kept them talking and distracted. Tell me about the digoxin. Where did you get it? Through a contact in Mexico, Monica said. She was distracted by her own cleverness. Ordered it online. Shipped to a P.O. box under a fake name. Completely untraceable. I wrote it all down. Every single word she said. And the insurance fraud. The trust. That was my idea, Rick said proudly. Set up the trust first. Had Robert's will drawn up naming me as executor. He signed it thinking it was a property transfer document for the lake house. Forged his signature on the insurance application later. Simple when you know what you're doing. Brilliant, I murmured. Still writing everything down. I was documenting their confession, their methods, their motives, not a suicide note at all, but a testimony. And if they killed me, this paper would tell the truth even if my voice couldn't. Are you almost done? Monica asked impatiently. This is taking too long. Almost, I said. Then as I wrote the final lines, I made my move. I had noticed something they missed earlier. A small detail that gave me one chance. The gun on the table was facing Monica, not me. When she had set it down after checking it, she had placed it carelessly. The handle was toward the middle of the table. Not close enough for me to grab easily, but close enough to knock away. One last thing, I said. I looked up at Monica. You should know I recorded something that will destroy you both. Something you didn't find. Didn't erase. Didn't anticipate at all. You're lying, Monica said. But uncertainty crossed her face. Robert's lawyer, I continued calmly. Mr. Patterson. I sent him a sealed envelope 4 days ago, with instructions to open it if anything happened to me. Inside is a full account of everything I discovered. Copies of your messages, financial records, a detailed timeline of Robert's murder. 'Twas a lie. Complete fabrication. I had done no such thing. But Monica didn't know that for certain. You're lying, Rick said. But he looked at Monica. Doubt was creeping into his expression. Am I? He smiled coldly. You've been so busy tracking my phone and my emails and my obvious moves. Did you think to watch my physical mail? My in-person meetings? I'm 70 years old. I know how to do things without leaving digital footprints or traces. Monica lunged for the gun. I lunged for the table. My hand hit the table's edge. I flipped it upward with strength I didn't know I still had. Adrenaline and fear and desperate power. The gun flew off the table. It hit the floor and slid across the room. Papers scattered everywhere. Monica stumbled backward. Rick rushed forward. But I was already moving toward the door. Faster than a 70-year-old woman should be able to move. My hand closed on the doorknob. Of course it was locked. Rick grabbed my arm roughly. He yanked me backward hard. I spun around. I used his momentum against him. A move my father had taught me 60 years ago when I asked about staying safe. My elbow connected with his stomach. He gasped and let go. Monica had the gun now. She was raising it with shaking hands. "Don't move," she ordered. Her voice was high and panicked. "Don't." The window behind her exploded inward. Marcus crashed through in a shower of broken glass. His shoulder hitting Monica's back hard. The gun fired once. The sound was deafening in the small space. The bullet buried itself in the wooden wall. Marcus wrestled the weapon away from her. His face was cut and bleeding from the glass. But his grip was strong and sure. "Get outside, Mom," he shouted. "Now!" Behind him through the broken window I saw more people coming fast. Detective Santos. 2 uniformed police officers. All running toward the lake house. Rick tried to run for the back door. I stuck my foot out. Petty move maybe, but satisfying. He crashed to the floor hard. Within seconds officers were through the front door. Weapons drawn. Shouting commands loudly. Everything happened very fast after that. Monica and Rick were handcuffed. They were read their rights. Their protests and threats faded into legal language and official procedure. The confession I had written was carefully bagged as evidence. Marcus's phone showed the recording he had made through the broken window. Every word Monica and Rick had said. Every admission of guilt. Detective Santos looked at me with a mix of respect and frustration. "Mrs. Henderson, you could have been killed today." "But I wasn't," I said simply. My hands were shaking now. Delayed reaction finally setting in. But I stayed standing. "And now you have everything you need for prosecution. The recording through the window is legally allowed," she confirmed. Marcus was on public property. The window was already partially open. He could hear clearly. "And you had already told them you were recording." They had no expectation of privacy. I looked at my son. My brave, foolish, wonderful son who had crashed through a window to save me. "I told you to stay with Tommy. I took him to the police station first," Marcus said. He was grinning through the blood on his face. "Told Santos everything we knew. Played her the lake house recording from yesterday. She agreed it might not work in court. But it was enough for probable cause to investigate. We've been outside for 40 minutes. Listening and waiting for the right moment to act. You heard everything. Every single word," he said. His expression hardened as he looked at Monica being led to a police car. Including what she said about Tommy. That he was just useful to her plans. That I knew was the wound that would take longest to heal. Not the betrayal of the affair. Not even the murder of his father. But knowing that Tommy had been nothing more than a tool to his own mother. As they loaded Monica into the police car, she looked at me through the window. No guilt in her eyes. No fear. Just cold calculation even now. "You won't win," she called out. "I'll get the best lawyers money can buy. I'll." The door slammed shut. Cut off her threats. Rick was quieter. He looked defeated as they put him in a separate car. As they drove him away he said, "We almost got away with it all." "No," I said. Loud enough for him to hear clearly. "You wouldn't have. 'Cause you made the same mistake everyone makes. You underestimated an old woman." Detective Santos smiled grimly. Mrs. Henderson, I need you to come to the station. Give a full statement about everything. Of course. But first. I turned to Marcus. Call Monica's mom. Tell her to keep Tommy there tonight. He doesn't need to know about any of this yet. Let him have one more day of being a kid. Before his whole world changes forever. Marcus nodded. There were tears in his eyes. As I rode in Detective Santos's car back to town, I looked out at the summer afternoon. At the palm trees swaying in the breeze. At the sky turning orange and pink. Robert had died because of lies born in that lake house. But today the truth had finally won. The war wasn't completely over yet. There would be trials ahead. Legal battles to fight. Family pain to work through. But the most important battle had been won today. I had survived. And in surviving I had become something I never expected. Dangerous. For months later I stood in my kitchen on a warm October morning. I was watching hummingbirds at the feeder outside my window. The apartment was quiet. Peaceful in a way it hadn't been for years. Maybe not since before Monica entered our lives. The trials had been surprisingly quick. Monica and Rick's lawyers had told them to accept plea deals. Once they saw the evidence was too strong to fight in court. Marcus's recording from outside the lake house. My written testimony from inside. The financial records of the fake trust. The forged insurance documents. It all painted a very clear picture of guilt. Monica pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and insurance fraud. 18 years to life in prison. Rick pleaded guilty to being an accomplice to murder and fraud and conspiracy. 15 years minimum. Both were already in prison in separate facilities far apart. Their appeals had been denied. The life insurance money had been recovered. It was returned to Robert's estate. To me as his legal widow. $900,000 I had never wanted. Paid for with my husband's life. I had put most of it in a trust for Tommy's college education. I kept enough to maintain the apartment and make sure I wouldn't be a burden to Marcus in my old age. The real victory hadn't been in the courtrooms. It had been in the quiet moments after. Watching my family slowly and painfully start to heal. I heard footsteps on my porch. The sound of sneakers on wood. The door opened. Tommy came running in. His cheeks were flushed from playing outside. His eyes were bright and happy. Grandma, you should see the lizard I found in the garden. It's huge and green with a blue tail. That sounds amazing, I said. I smiled at him warmly. At 13 he was caught between being a child and becoming a teenager. Struggling with everything that had happened. The truth about his mother. The divorce. The criminal trials. It had nearly broken him. But children were resilient. Stronger than adults often realized. Marcus followed his son inside. He was carrying bags from the farmer's market. He had moved back to my apartment temporarily while he figured out his next steps. The apartment where he grew up had become his safe place again. And mine had become less lonely with him and Tommy here. Tommy, go wash up before lunch, Marcus said. The automatic parent command that made me smile. He was a good father. Better than he knew. After Tommy went to his room, Marcus set the bags on my kitchen counter. He looked at me with an expression I had come to know well. The one that meant he needed to talk about something difficult. Mom, I got a call from Monica's lawyer this morning. My hands paused over the vegetables I was washing. What did she want now? Monica wants to see Tommy. She's claiming her rights as his mother. Saying that keeping them apart is cruel punishment. The audacity of it took my breath away. After everything. The murder. The lies. The cold admission that Tommy had been nothing but a tool in her plans. She wanted access to him. What does Tommy want? I asked. Because that was what mattered most. He says he never wants to see her again. He's angry and hurt. He feels betrayed by her. Marcus slumped into a chair. But what if he changes his mind later? What if he resents me for keeping them apart? Marcus, you're his father, I said. I took his hand. You make the decision that protects him right now. Today. If he changes his mind when he's older and ready, then you'll support that choice. But right now he's a child who just learned his mother is a murderer. He needs stability and safety and time to heal. The lawyer says Monica is getting therapy, that she's sorry for what she did to everyone. Monica is a sociopath, I said firmly. I sat across from her in that lake house. I looked into her eyes. There was nothing there, Marcus. No real feeling. No genuine guilt or remorse. Only calculation and manipulation. Whatever she's telling her lawyers now, whatever show she's putting on for future parole boards, it's not real at all. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. How did you know? Before all this came out. Did you ever suspect she wasn't who she seemed? It was a question I had asked myself many times over the past months. Had there been signs I missed? Warnings that could have saved Robert? I thought she was cold sometimes, I admitted. Too perfect, too controlled in everything. But I thought it was just personality differences. That she was younger and more modern than me. I thought I was being judgmental and old-fashioned. I squeezed his hand. We see what we expect to see. What we want to see. Monica was very good at being what people needed her to be. Dad saw someone who made him feel young again, Marcus said quietly. I saw someone who completed my family perfectly. You saw someone helping take care of your husband when you felt overwhelmed. And Tommy saw his mother, I added. The cruelest part. Children should be able to trust their parents completely. Monica stole that from him. Upstairs we could hear Tommy moving around. The creak of floorboards in what used to be Marcus's childhood bedroom. He's doing better, Marcus said. The therapist says he's processing everything in a healthy way. He paused. But Mom, I'm so angry. At Monica. Rick. At Dad for starting this whole terrible mess. Some days I can barely function normally. That's completely normal, I assured him. Anger is part of grief. You're mourning multiple losses. Your father. Your marriage. Your trust in people you loved. That takes time to heal. How are you so calm about it all? Dad cheated on you. Lied to you for years. Doesn't that make you furious inside? Oh, it does, I said. I felt the familiar burn of betrayal in my chest. I'm angry at Robert every single day. Angry at his weakness. His vanity. His willingness to destroy our family for an affair. Paused, searching for the right words. But I'm also free now. Free from the weight of a marriage built on lies and secrets. Free from wondering why he seemed distant. Why he stopped really seeing me as a person. Now I know the truth. And knowing hurts deeply. But it's better than the confusion I lived with for years. Do you miss him at all? I miss who I thought he was, I admitted honestly. I miss the man I married. The partner I believed I had. But that man might never have really existed. Not completely anyway. The real Robert was someone who could be seduced. Who could lie. Who could betray the people who loved him most. I looked at my son. So no, I don't miss him. I mourn what I lost. But I don't want it back. Marcus nodded slowly. I feel the same about Monica. The woman I married, if she ever really existed, I loved her. But the woman who killed Dad, who used our son as leverage, who would have let you die? I don't know that person. I never did. We sat in comfortable silence. The kind that only comes from shared pain and deep understanding. Outside the October sun shone bright and warm. Flowers bloomed in the garden. Life continued moving forward. Grandma, Dad, Tommy called from upstairs. Can we have ice cream after lunch? Absolutely, I called back. I was standing and moving to the counter. Come help me make sandwiches. As I prepared lunch with Tommy chattering about school and his friends and the book he was reading, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not happiness exactly. The wounds were too fresh for that. The losses too deep and painful. Peace. The calm that comes from knowing the truth. From surviving what seemed unsurvivable. From standing on solid ground after years of walking on lies. That evening after dinner and a movie, After Tommy had gone to bed and Marcus had gone to his room to make calls, I walked through the apartment alone. I touched the furniture Robert had bought. I looked at the photos on the walls. Pictures from happier times. Or at least times I had believed were happy. I had removed the photos of Monica, but I kept the ones with Tommy in them. He deserved to remember the good parts of his childhood, however complicated they had become. In Robert's den, I found the box I had been avoiding for months. His personal belongings from the hospital. His wallet. His wedding ring. His watch. I opened it slowly, forcing myself to face these last pieces of him. The wedding ring gleamed in the lamplight. Gold and simple. Engraved with our wedding date. I had stopped wearing mine. I had locked it away in a drawer. His deserved the same fate. But underneath the ring I found something unexpected. Letter. Sealed and yellowed slightly with age. My name on the envelope in Robert's handwriting. The real handwriting. Messy and rushed. Not the careful forgery Monica had used. My hands trembled as I opened it. My dearest Helen, it read. If you're reading this, I'm gone. And I'm a coward for not saying this to your face while I was alive. I've done terrible things. Betrayed you in ways I can't explain or excuse or justify. I started something I couldn't stop. And it poisoned everything good in my life. You deserved so much better than me. You deserved honesty and loyalty and respect. Instead I gave you lies. I took your trust for granted. I let vanity and weakness destroy the best thing I ever had. Your love. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it at all. But I want you to know that whatever happened, whatever you discover after I'm gone, you were never the problem. The problem was always me. My cowardice. My selfishness. My inability to appreciate what I had until it was too late. You are remarkable, Helen. Stronger than I ever was. Kinder than I deserved. Wiser than I gave you credit for. I hope you find peace after I'm gone. I hope you find happiness. You've earned it 1,000 times over. I'm sorry for everything. But mostly I'm sorry I wasn't the man you believed I was. Robert. The letter blurred as tears filled my eyes. The first I had cried for Robert since learning the truth. Not tears of grief for losing him, but tears for the waste of it all. The wasted years. The wasted love. The wasted potential of what we could have been if he had been honest. If he had been brave enough to face his problems instead of running to Monica. He had known he was dying. The letter had been written weeks before his death, hidden where I would find it eventually. Had he suspected Monica was poisoning him? Or had he simply known his kidneys were failing? Had he wanted to confess before it was too late? I never know. And maybe it didn't matter anymore. I folded the letter carefully. I placed it back in the box. It was closure of a sort. An acknowledgement from beyond the grave that I hadn't been crazy. Hadn't been paranoid. Hadn't been the cold, neglectful wife Monica had painted me as. But it changed nothing about what had happened. Or what needed to happen next. I had an apartment to maintain. A grandson to help raise. A son to support through divorce and healing. I had a life to rebuild. Not from the ashes of betrayal, but from the foundation of truth I had fought so hard to uncover. That night as I locked up the apartment and checked on Tommy one last time, I saw him sleeping peacefully. His face was young and innocent in the moonlight. I made a decision. I would stay here in this apartment. I would not let Monica and Rick drive me away from the home I had built. The memories I had made. The life I had earned. They had taken enough from me. They wouldn't take this too. And I would use everything I had learned about deception and manipulation, and the darkness people could hide beneath pleasant surfaces. I would make sure my family was never vulnerable like this again. I would teach Tommy to question, to verify, to trust his instincts. I would teach him that kindness shouldn't mean being naive. That trust should be earned through actions. That family was defined by actions, not just blood. I would be the grandmother he needed. Strong and protective and unshakable. The woman who had brought down murderers wouldn't let anything else harm her grandson. As I settled into bed that night, the apartment creaking around me in the October breeze, I thought about age and wisdom, about survival and strength. Monica had called me an old woman like it was an insult, like age meant weakness. She had learned too late that age meant experience, meant patience, it meant strategic thinking, the ability to see the long game while younger people chase quick wins. It meant knowing when to fight and when to wait, when to reveal your cards and when to play dumb, when to trust and when to verify everything. I was 70 years old. I had survived betrayal and murder plots and attempts to frame me for crimes I didn't commit. I had brought down a killer using nothing but intelligence and persistence and the element of surprise. I was old, but old meant dangerous in ways youth could never understand. And I would never be underestimated again. Outside, the October night was warm, full of cricket songs, life promising renewal. Fall would continue, then winter would come, then spring again. Life would continue its cycle, and I would be here, watching over my family, protecting what mattered most, living with truth rather than comfortable lies. The phone on my nightstand buzzed. Text from Marcus downstairs. "Thank you, Mom, for everything, for fighting for us, for being stronger than any of us knew you could be. I love you." Smiled. Type back. "I love you too. Now get some sleep. Tomorrow we keep rebuilding. Tomorrow and all the days after that. Because that was what survivors did. We adapted. We overcame. We rebuilt on stronger foundations." The apartment settled into silence around me. Somewhere in the darkness Robert's ghost might have lingered. But I no longer felt haunted by him. The truth had driven out those demons. I was free. Wounded, yes. Changed, certainly. But free. And in that freedom I found something unexpected. Not happiness yet, but the promise of it. The knowledge that I had survived the worst. And come out not broken, but forged into something harder, more resilient. Which hadn't weakened me. It had been my greatest weapon. And if anyone else ever threatened my family, they would learn what I had learned in that terrible transformative week. Never underestimate a 70-year-old woman with nothing left to lose and everything to protect. Closed my eyes. Finally at peace. I slept without nightmares for the first time in months. The mystery was solved. The family was safe. Justice had been served. And Helen Henderson, grandmother, widow, survivor, fighter, had won. The next morning I woke to the smell of coffee. Marcus had already started breakfast. Through my bedroom window I could see Tommy playing in the yard with our old dog Cooper, throwing a ball, laughing, being a kid again. I got dressed slowly, my body aching in the way bodies do when you've lived 70 years. But it was a good ache. The ache of someone who had fought hard and won. Downstairs Marcus had made pancakes, Tommy's favorite breakfast. "Morning, Mom," he said. He poured me coffee. "Morning, Grandma," Tommy called. He burst through the back door with Cooper at his heels. We sat together at the kitchen table. The three of us. Family. Smaller than we used to be. Wounded but healing. And maybe, just maybe, stronger for what we had survived together. "What should we do today?" Tommy asked through a mouthful of pancake. "Whatever you want, sweetheart," I said. And I meant it. We had all the time in the world now. No more secrets. No more lies. Just truth and love and the promise of better days ahead. Outside the sun climbed higher in the October sky. Birds sang in the trees. Life, beautiful and messy and real, continued. And I was here to see it. To live it. To protect it for as long as I had left. That I realized was the greatest victory of all. Not revenge. Not justice. But the simple, profound gift of being alive. Of being present. Of being surrounded by people I loved who loved me back. The terrible week that had started with a forgotten tablet and a shocking photo had led me through darkness. Through betrayal and murder and fear. But it had also led me here. To this quiet morning. To this peaceful moment. To this second chance at life. I raised my coffee cup in a silent toast. To survival. To truth. Family. To the future, whatever it might bring. and to the strength that comes not from never falling, but from getting back up every single time. Tommy was talking about the lizard again. Marcus was planning our afternoon. Cooper was begging for scraps under the table. And I was simply here, present, grateful, alive. The phone rang. Marcus's phone. He glanced at it and frowned slightly. "It's the lawyer," he said. "Probably about the final estate paperwork." "Take it," I said. "We're not hiding from anything anymore," he answered. He stepped into the other room to talk privately. Tommy and I cleaned up the breakfast dishes together. He told me about summer camp ending. About starting 8th grade soon. About a girl named Sarah who had smiled at him yesterday. Normal things. Beautiful, ordinary, normal things. Marcus came back. His face was unreadable. "What is it?" I asked. "The estate is completely settled," he said slowly. "Everything's finalized. The apartment is yours free and clear. The insurance money is in trust for Tommy's education." He paused. "There's something else. Something the lawyer found going through Dad's safe deposit box at the bank." He pulled an envelope from his pocket, old and worn, addressed to me in Robert's handwriting. "Another letter?" I asked. "No," Marcus said. "Deeds. Dad had property we didn't know about. A cabin in the mountains in Georgia. A small rental house in North Carolina. Both paid off completely. Both generating rental income that was going into a separate account we never knew existed." I stared at the envelope. More secrets even in death. "There's a note with them," Marcus continued. "From Dad. Written the same day as his other letter to you. He says these properties are for you. Your security. Your independence. He wanted to make sure you'd be taken care of no matter what happened." I opened the envelope with shaking hands. I read Robert's note. "Helen, these are yours. I bought them years ago as investments for our retirement. I should have told you about them. Should have told you so many things. But I was a coward about everything. Use them as you see fit. Sell them. Keep them. Whatever gives you peace and security. You deserve to never worry about money. To never depend on anyone else. I failed you in every way that mattered. Let me at least do this one thing right. Robert." I sat down heavily in my chair. The properties were worth, according to the deeds, over $500,000 combined. Plus years of rental income sitting in an account I could now access. Robert had left me wealthy, independent, secure. Even as he had betrayed me. He had tried in his broken way to protect me. "What do you want to do?" Marcus asked quietly. I looked at the deeds. The bank statements. At the evidence of Robert's final attempt at redemption. "I want to think about it," I said finally. "This is a lot to process all at once." "Take your time, Mom," Marcus said. "There's no rush at all." But even as I said it, an idea was forming in my mind. A way to turn Robert's final gift into something good. Something that would honor not the man he had been, but the man he should have been. "Actually," I said slowly, "I know exactly what to do with it." Over the next few months I worked with lawyers and accountants. I set up a foundation. The Robert Henderson Memorial Scholarship Fund. For children of single parents. Kids who had lost a parent to death or divorce or abandonment. Kids like Tommy who were navigating life with one parent instead of two. The rental income from the properties would fund scholarships. Help kids go to college who might not otherwise afford it. Turn Robert's secrets and lies into something that helped others. The cabin in Georgia I kept as a family retreat. Somewhere Marcus and Tommy and I could go. Somewhere we could make new memories untainted by the old ones. The house in North Carolina I sold. I used the money to establish the initial scholarship fund principle. 8 kids received scholarships the first year. Kids who wrote thank you letters that made me cry happy tears. Letters about dreams and hopes and futures that were now possible because of a program funded by a dead man's guilt. It didn't absolve Robert. Nothing could do that. But it turned something rotten into something growing. Something beautiful. Monica heard about it in prison. She sent a letter through her lawyer. I burned it without reading a single word. I didn't need her words or her poison in my life anymore. Rick wrote too. An apology that was rambling and self-pitying. I saved that one. I gave it to Detective Santos for her files. Evidence of his state of mind. Proof of his guilt. 1 year after that terrible week, we held the first annual scholarship ceremony. 8 kids and their families gathered at a local community center. Tommy helped present the awards. He was shy but proud. Marcus gave a speech about second chances and the importance of education. And I stood in the back watching, thinking about Robert, about Monica, about betrayal and survival and the strange ways life circles back on itself. One of the scholarship recipients was a girl whose father had died in a car accident. She was 16, planning to study medicine. She reminded me of Tommy, of the person Tommy might become, strong despite loss, hopeful despite pain. After the ceremony, she approached me shyly. "Mrs. Henderson," she said, "I just wanted to thank you. This scholarship changes everything for me and my family." "You earned it," I told her. "Your grades, your dedication. This is just helping you get where you were already going." "Still," she said, "not many people do things like this. Set up funds to help complete strangers. It means a lot to people like me." I thought about Robert, about how he would have loved to see this. Would have been proud maybe. Or maybe just relieved that something good had come from his mess. "Sometimes," I said carefully, "the best way to honor the people we've lost is to help the people who are still here." She nodded, understanding in her young eyes. "I'm going to pay it forward," she said. "When I'm a doctor, I'm going to help people who can't afford medical care. Keep the circle going." "That's exactly right," I said. And I meant it with my whole heart. 3 years after that terrible week, life had settled into a new normal. Marcus had met someone, a teacher named Jennifer, kind and honest and open. Everything Monica hadn't been. They were taking it very slow. But I could see hope returning to my son's eyes. Tommy was thriving, doing well in school. He had joined the debate team. He was thinking about colleges even though he was only 15. He talked to a therapist regularly. He had good days and hard days, but more good than hard now. And me. I had become someone I never expected to be. Not just a widow, not just a grandmother, but a woman who had fought for her family and won, who had taken the worst betrayal imaginable and transformed it into strength. I volunteered at the library. I served on the scholarship committee. I took up painting. I started a book club. I lived a full, rich life that had nothing to do with Robert or Monica or the past. Carried the scars. But I didn't let them define who I was. One April afternoon, 4 years after Robert's death, I found myself at his grave. I hadn't been there since the funeral. Hadn't wanted to go. But something drew me there that day. The headstone was simple. Robert Henderson. Beloved husband and father. The dates of his birth and death. Nothing about who he really was. The complexity. The failures. The final attempts at redemption. I stood there for a long time. Not crying. Not angry. Just thinking about everything. "I forgive you," I said finally. Out loud to the wind and the grass and the stone. Not because you deserve it. Not because what you did was okay. But because I deserve to be free of this anger and pain. You were weak. You were selfish. You made terrible choices that hurt everyone who loved you. But you were also human. Flawed and broken and trying in your own misguided way to find happiness. I don't forgive Monica. I don't forgive Rick. They don't get that from me. They chose murder. They chose to destroy lives for money. That's different. But you were just a foolish man who made foolish choices. And you paid for them with your life. With your legacy. With the family you lost. I touched the cold stone. I hope you found peace. Whatever that means. Wherever you are. I hope you're at peace. And then I walked away. Back to my car. Back to my life. Back to the future I was building. Free. That evening Marcus and Jennifer came for dinner. Tommy brought a friend from school. We ate on the back patio. We watched the sunset. We talked and laughed. The sound of family. Not the family I had planned for. Not the family I had expected. But the family I had. Imperfect. Hard. But real. And I was grateful for every moment. Thank you for watching Auntie's Stories. Don't forget to subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Remember, you're stronger than you know.